Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming to today's Atticus Advantage Growth Essentials webinar. My name is Mike Wells. I'll be the organizer in the background today. I'd like to introduce our two presenters today on how to be more effective with your social media strategy. We have Victor Medina, who is a founder of Medina Law Group and Palante Wealth Advisors. Victor is also an adjunct practice advisor with Atticus and teaches our group programs. We also have Ronald Morton, or Ronnie, as he likes to go by. He's the founder of Morton Law Firm, certified elder law attorney, and he's also a certified Infusionsoft partner. Both of you guys, I want to thank you for coming to today's session and going over this important information, especially as so many people are sheltering in place still and operating their law firms remotely. So I'm going to let you guys take it away to give you guys more time to talk.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike, and thanks for the great introduction. So, many of you that are on the program today have some affiliation with Atticus or know a little bit about the company, but not everyone's a client. So I did want to talk a little bit about Atticus briefly, and then we'll get into the session for today. So Atticus was founded in 1989. It is essentially a coaching company that helps good lawyers become great business owners. And one of the ways they do that is to help them increase their revenues, reduce stress, basically do all the things to help them lead a great life. Now, Atticus ends up focusing its offerings out in the world between programs that it offers, like coaching programs that are ongoing. They're doing workshops that might be something like double your revenue or other specific topics that they're covering, and webinars, not just like this, but some that are available only to clients. And so the whole idea about that is to try to provide education and strategies that will help these good lawyers become great business owners. When we talk about the kinds of lawyers that Atticus helps, Atticus is really focusing on folks that are in solo and small firm practices, and specifically people that are in shareholder positions. It also has relationships with their legal associations. For instance, they have a relationship with the Illinois State Bar Association, and they run programs for that group as well. And they also help attorneys that are at the beginning of their practice being able to launch and grow great practices, as well as being able to transition out as well. The offerings that Atticus have include webinars like this Atticus Advantage webinar, which is free to the general public. They also have a practice growth series, which is specific to its clients. And then it also has a Rainmaker Roundtable, which is really about helping clients develop new business and grow their top line of new clients. Holds a number of workshops like the Double Your Revenue. I made reference to those different levels of coaching programs depending on your level and advancement in your practice. So its beginning one is a practice growth program, which is a program that I co-lead two of. Dominate Your Market, which is a program that both Ronnie and I are clients of, and so we drink the champagne that Atticus makes, and it also has one-on-one coaching offerings. They also have a different service, which is really valuable, which is if you're looking for a great team member, they offer a service to help you locate somebody that works great within your team. And not only are they aware of how to select a good team member, but they know what makes a great team member from a practice that you're trying to grow and develop. If you're looking to use these strategies to become a lot better at what it is that you do, they can help find the candidates that work just perfect in those scenarios. And finally, they've published a number of books, and we're going to give you an opportunity at the end of this webinar to get one of those books for free if you take advantage of one of the offers that we've got. So when we go into this, essentially what we find as coaches, and I think all as clients between Ronnie and I, is that most solo and small firm lawyers are trying to figure out how to get better lives, lead great lives. And the way that they do that is to increase their amount of free time, get better about client selection to make sure that they bring on great clients, make sure that the team around them is top caliber, and of course, have more disposable income that will help them lead a greater life. And one of the ways that they do that is by focusing on 4 cornerstones. And I think this is important as it relates to the subject for this webinar, because each of these cornerstones becomes essential for you having a foundation on which you can grow a fantastic practice. So a lot of time is spent in the time and focus management cornerstone of developing a great practice. We're going to focus today on social media, which is an element of client development and marketing to make sure that we're bringing in high caliber clients or developing relationships with high caliber referral partners. Then the last two cornerstone elements are making sure that you develop, train, and retain a great team that can help you get where you're going, and also understand the cash flow and profitability principles that will help you lead a great life. And so if you think about this as a pyramid or a foundation on what you are developing, you begin with great legal skills. Atticus helps you put in place 4 cornerstones on each of time focus management, client development, staffing, and cash flow. And then you can build on top of that, a life that gives you great revenue, freedom, so on and so forth. So that's what we're driving, is we're going to stay in that second element of client development and marketing. All right, Ronnie.
So thank you, Victor. You're going to want to bring a few things with you on today's presentation. Everything Atticus does is interactive. They don't just tell you, we don't just tell you things to do. We give you the opportunity and tools to do something with that. And so one of the top tools you're going to need today is your attention. Be focused on this, because the things we are telling you about are going to be beneficial to you, beneficial to your practice. And if you're not focused, then you're going to miss out. You're also going to want access to your social media accounts. We're going to talk today specifically about 6 or 7 or maybe 8 different social media platforms that you're probably already on some, maybe all of them. We're going to talk about things that you want to have on those platforms, and you're going to want to be able to log in there and see where you're meeting the mark and perhaps missing the mark, so that you can then take advantage of what you're learning. You're also going to want to make sure and put time on your calendar. You've set aside an hour or so for today's presentation, but hopefully you're going to learn something today you're going to want to implement, and it's going to take some time to do. If you just listen and do nothing further, this hasn't done any good for you. What we want to do is prompt you to take action so that you can actually take advantage and benefit from what you've learned today. And the way to do that is to go ahead right now, go to your calendar and block off a few hours, because you're going to want to implement some of what we talked about today. You also are going to want your vision. I don't mean just being able to look at slides. I'm talking about having the forethought of how this is going to impact my practice and my client base now and going forward, and be prepared to see that, from a visionary standpoint. You're going to want to have pencil and paper ready. You're going to want to be able to take notes here today, and maybe you'll do it by keyboard, maybe pencil and paper or such. But take notes, because again, I think you'll benefit from some of what you're going to learn today. So take the notes. And finally, we do intend for this to be an interactive presentation. And so if you have questions, click a button and raise your hand, and Mike will, at the appropriate times, relay those questions to us, perhaps be able to unmute you, and we can engage in a conversation. So certainly we're prepared, and hope you're prepared to make this interactive as well. So let me tell you a little bit about today's agenda. So the first part of what we'll talk about is the social media platforms that are important, or at least are most important. And we'll look at a couple of different levels. We'll look at a basic level of social media maintenance, just making sure that you're maintaining your sites the way you need to. And then secondarily, on a more advanced level, look at really maintaining sites at a little higher level to get optimal performance, optimal benefit for your firm. We're also going to talk about how to establish an effective referral relationships over social media. It's different than picking up the phone. The way we interact on social media is different. It's a platform designed differently. You're going to need to understand that in order to understand how this platform is going to best benefit you. We're going to talk finally about advertising on these social media platforms. These social media platforms are great. Everybody participates in them for free, but someone has to pay the bill, and that someone is you and me if we advertise. And there's your right way and wrong way to advertise. You're going to need to think through, do I advertise? Which platforms do I advertise? Who's going to manage those accounts? What's it going to cost? We're going to talk a little bit about that. And finally, we're going to talk about conducting your own social media audit, looking at your social media platforms and seeing where you shine and where maybe you've got a little bit of work to do. So once you've identified that, you can then put that work in and be ready then to benefit best from that. So let's look first at some of those social media platforms. We've kind of broken these down into a couple of different tiers, what I call tier 1 and tier 2 platforms. The tier 1 platforms, you already know. I don't have to put anything on the screen, but the top of the peak, if you will, is Google, right? Nobody does anything without Google, and we all know what Google does. People search for things on Google. It's all that it's designed to do. You got a white screen with a little box. They don't try to distract you with pictures and things of that nature, or news stories and such. It's a tool designed for search, and it does an exceptionally good job of that. The two reasons you've got to be aware of that is, A, everyone uses it, and B, as a result, you need to be sure that you rank well on that. And ranking well may be for paid advertising. Ranking well may be for native advertising, for native search engine optimization. You're going to want to do the things on your website to help you rank well in both categories, especially if you're not actually doing paid ads. The second one, you all know what it is Facebook. Again, a ubiquitous platform that everyone is on. And whether you like spending time on Facebook, or you're like me and you hate spending time on Facebook, you cannot ignore Facebook, because everybody is on Facebook. Facebook is, is kind of the local water cooler, or the town square, if you will. Everyone is sharing information about everything. More and more people every day get on Facebook, including older people. And so if you say, well, my practice caters to the 65 and older bunch, take a look at the fastest growing group on Facebook, and you'll see that those eyeballs are heading there as well. So some of the things that Facebook has, that are apply to your firm, other than just branding information about your firm, is reviews, because they give people opportunity to give reviews on your business, and you don't want bad reviews. And recommendations, because again, this is the place that people interact. This is where people are talking with one another. Does anybody know a good DUI lawyer? Does anybody know a good divorce lawyer? And someone's going to have opinions about those people. You want to be one that they have favorable opinions about. And so you want to be on Facebook, branded on Facebook, and then also have good reviews on there. Another one that you all know, and you all probably waste too much time like I do on it, is YouTube. Right? The free service where anyone can become a producer and put that information up there for free for everyone else in the world to consume for free. And that gives an awful lot of opportunity, especially for those of us in the knowledge business, right? We have information. It's all we really have that has of any value to it, is information about things. And video of expressing that information is a great way to do it, a whole lot better than writing, because people don't like to read. People watch a lot more TV than they buy books, and YouTube plays into that. And having that platform out there where you can record that information and place that information out there for free, it doesn't cost you anything, gives people then the ability to consume that information for free and then reach out to you. So it's an education platform and it's an entertainment platform. So if you are able to work in some entertainment, some humor into your branding and such, great opportunity for that. That's where people go for entertainment. Now, LinkedIn is another one of those top tier platforms. And it's, for lack of a better word, I call it Facebook for business, right? Because the design there is for mostly professionals, or anyone can open an account, but it's really for professionals, and it gives them the ability to kind of link among one another. Do you know anything about this person or that person? And there are a lot of higher net worth individuals on LinkedIn. You need to be present there. You need to understand the platform, and whether you actively participate in it or not, you at least need to have a presence there, because especially if you do work with anyone that's a business owner and such, they're going to check you out there on LinkedIn. The last one is maybe not as pertinent to your practice area, depending on what your practice area is, but you've got to be aware of it because it is such an effective tool, and that is Yelp. And when I think of Yelp, I think of restaurants. I don't think of lawyers, but they review and rate everything. Doctors, people that do yard work, and including lawyers. So you probably have some presence on Yelp, whether you know it or want it or not, and you probably or possibly have people commenting on you on that. If you just ignore it and there's some bad reviews out there for you, people are seeing those bad reviews. So you need to be aware of that. And depending on your practice area, it may be a great opportunity, because depending on what area you practice, people may be going to Yelp to actually search for lawyers, especially if you're catering into a quick transactional type of practice, or more common person practice rather than large time litigation and things like that. People are likely to go to Yelp to see and find a lawyer, so you need to be aware of that and have a presence on that. For the second tier social media platforms, First one I would say is Instagram, right? It's connected with Facebook. And so, but Instagram is for really short entertainment, mainly images, or you can put short videos on there, but you can convey information very, very quickly, again, for free, but you also have opportunities to do advertising on there. But you're not going to put a lecture on there about what a marital disposition of property is on there. That's not what that's for. But you might get a 5-second blurb in there about that, or maybe take a picture of dinner so that people know, like, and relate to you, or pictures with your dog and things like that. People like that. They like stories, and so Instagram is a great place for that. Another big social media platform you need to be aware of is Avo. Now, whether you know it or not, whether you've paid attention or not, you have a presence on Avo, because Avo has grabbed your name from your local bar directory and put you on there. If you don't claim that account, then it's just out there empty or largely empty. If you claim it, though, you can fill it. And if you fill it, you can rank high. Why do you care? Because Avo, again, has become an authority in a particular market, the market that we all happen to be in, the area of law. And so it ranks very high. It has very rich content. It has interaction. It has the ability to make reviews, and people will review you. And people looking at hiring you will stumble on Avo, and they're going to see your reviews. You're going to want to claim your profile on there and pay attention to that profile, because they rank you. They rank you on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. And so if someone's looking and they say, well, you're a 5, and the guy down the street's an 8 or a 9, guess who's more likely to get the business? So you got to be able to pay attention to Avo. The next one is Twitter, right? Twitter, the social media that we send little bursts of text out there, or we can read the president's bursts of text multiple times a day. And it's really best for top of mind awareness. If you can have people following you, if you happen to be saying things interesting enough that people want to follow you on Twitter, they're seeing you every time you post, and you can post many times. And so it gives you the ability to do that. You can also link that with some of these others. So when you post something on one, it posts to Twitter as well. And finally, I would say, is Pinterest out there. Again, a platform that's done a great job of ranking. When people are searching, things show up there. You're not going to put some great speech up there or anything like that. It's pictures, but it's pictures that people can learn about you, know, like, and trust you, because ultimately that's part then of why they're doing that engagement. And depending on, again, your product, your practice area, you can post things there that may lead directly to business. So you need to be aware of that. You need to make sure that you claim a profile on that. So Victor.
So the idea behind social media. Yeah. So the idea behind social media is that, most of the organization of those platforms is to draw in eyeballs that will stay on the platform for as long as possible, and then being able to sell advertising to the people that would like to get those eyeballs and attention off of it. So one of the things we want to walk you through is a series of things that at both a tier 1 and tier 2 platform level, you should make sure that you have right in every one of these situations. Now, you don't have to engage with all of the platforms on a regular basis, but each one of them, whether they're Yelp or LinkedIn, is going to have a series of directory information that you need to make sure is right and current for someone that stumbles upon it. For things like Yelp and LinkedIn and Avo, these are all platforms that are going to list you, again, regardless of whether or not you have chosen to engage with them. It's part of a directory, and they create the content that is drawing people in. By taking control of that content, you will make sure that you have the correct information that's linked to that. Even with something as basic as Google has a My Business section that is basically there to make sure that your listing, when someone does a search and is then therefore looking for you on the right-hand side of the search, is there current and up to date. So here are 6 areas that we think that you should be 100% right on all of the platforms that we've shared. Your firm name, your physical address, your website address, contact information, including your email or phone number. And by the way, this is not the place to put your private email address. There are scrapers out there that look for websites to grab this information and then sell for spam. So you're going to want to create a throwaway email address that is something that will reroute to you if it's an inquiry from a client, but isn't the one that your actual clients and your best partners are using. put on your hours of operation as well as your practice areas, because a lot of these are directories. We've given you what looks like Google's search results for each Ronnie and I. And what you're going to find in here is that we're pretty compliant and in integrity with what we're sharing in here. We've got our physical address. We have a link to the website, and that link actually arrives at our website as opposed to anywhere else. We have our hours that are set up. And by the way, even though it says that I'm closed or we're closed and open on Monday, obviously we prepped this for here on Thursday. But the idea is that we've gone ahead and layered all of the specific directory information off of it. You're going to start to see inside of here that there is more information that Google is putting together depending on whether or not it's available. So I've got a directed appointment link. This is a little different than my main domain link, and that would bring somebody onto a way to getting onto my calendar. There's also reviews that they have put together. In my case, they've got Facebook and Avo links together. In Ronnie's case, they've got Facebook there. So you're going to see that they're compiling this information as something to deliver out to somebody as, basically ways to know more about the people that they're searching. Okay, so you want this stuff. Now we're going to go into what we're going to consider to be advanced level information that you want to. And for this, we're going to focus only on the core tier 1 platform. So we're not going to spend a lot of time talking to you about what to do on Instagram or on Pinterest, although there are specific strategies to making that work. But we're going to go into advanced levels on each of Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as a way to kind of share all that information with you. Just so that you don't lose track of what we're doing, we have a form as a download to this webinar, and it's in the toolbar to sign on, and it's named Social Media Audit, and it's essentially an Excel spreadsheet that lists each of the tier 1 and tier 2 platforms, as well as that core information. So you can pull it up as an audit, give it to somebody that might be a marketing assistant, or attack it when you're late in the evening with a nice adult beverage and just try to tick off each one of those to make sure that you're there. It's also going to have a section on the advanced level, and it's going to bring you into that as well. And so if you've got that available as a tool, let's talk about some of the things that you may want to add to Google as part of claiming your profile as a local business. It's going to give you an opportunity to upload photos. And this is a great place to not only put a shining picture of your kisser, but at the same time, what your office looks like. A lot of people are intimidated to go and visit with a lawyer. And so you want to create the inviting atmosphere that you've probably spent some time cultivating. The way that you have a lobby and what you enter people, how you welcome people when they enter. These are all things that you want to highlight on a Google platform. It's also going to give you an opportunity to have reviews. You saw not only that we each had Facebook reviews as well as other platforms, but Google itself has reviews, and it tends to return search results higher for people with better reviews if someone's just making a subject matter search. So we want to go and ask for Google reviews and make sure that they're posted. And the same thing would be the case for a scheduling or appointment link. You want to lower the barriers of entry or grease the skids for someone that's interested in talking to you to being able to make an appointment and contact you to be able to take that next step. When we talk about Facebook, Facebook is a platform that can really start to spiral out for the number of things that you can do. But we're going to focus on your business page and give you some ideas about ways to improve that. And one of the things you want to think about, in addition to photos, is a logo, or what we would consider to be a banner. So when we land on that page, there's the big wide image that's on the top, and then have a smaller image underneath. They do the same thing on your business page as they do for your personal page. So this is another opportunity to showcase your brand. That image of you that you want to push out into the world, this is a great opportunity to be able to do that. It's also going to have a place for videos. And these are videos that are not only things that you can do on what we would call Facebook Live, where you're live streaming, because they'll keep that as a video as well, but it's also going to give you an opportunity to upload videos. And I'm going to give you a quick tip here. Facebook tends to rank people with videos that were either recorded natively or as the video file itself above a link to a video like YouTube or on Vimeo. So you're going to get better results and juice from uploading a raw video or doing Facebook Live than you will by creating the URL link for a YouTube video and embedding that as one of your posts. Facebook also has a form of reviews. They call them recommendations, okay? And so you may want to ask for those, and it's going to give people an opportunity to talk about you because, again, they're going to see this one page and as well as a scheduling and appointment link. Now, before I go on to the next one, I did want to talk about the use of Facebook and the reason why you want to do that, because this is not one of these things where you're going to search estate planning attorney, which is what my practice area does, and they're going to come up with you. What's going to happen is someone's going to make a recommendation of your services in an area, some form of a group. Maybe it's your geographic area, maybe it's a subject matter area. And they're going to type in your name and your firm's name. And Facebook is going to pull in the information on your page. And it'll even give you a small badge of this information, including your reviews or your average reviews. So a good reason to make sure that this is fully built out is because as some people link to you as part of their social water cooler discussions, you want to have a great representation in those areas.
So YouTube is another place that you want to have a presence. I've talked about, and we all know about the fact you can upload videos and such on there, and that can be very beneficial. Let me tell you part of the reason that becomes important. We all know the #1 search engine on the internet is Google. Do you know what the second #1 search or the #2 search engine on the internet is? It's YouTube. People hate to read, they like to watch TV. And so when they want to know how to do something and want to know what something is, many of them will go to YouTube and search that. And so you have the opportunity to have videos on there, to have your education, your information on there, to be picked up by those individuals and be consumed, and hopefully then lead them down the trail to becoming perhaps a paying client. So don't think just because it's free, it's just a branding thing and I can ignore it. You have the opportunity to make money. Point in case, I also, like Victor, am an estate planning and elder law attorney. I've got several videos on my channel on YouTube. I have 2 different separate examples of people that came to me because they ran a search, saw my video, and then called me to hire me. Each of those cases was worth $10,000. So just by those, and I'm sure there are probably others as well, but those are 2 individuals that told me that's how they came to see me. And it's free and it's up there forever. So when you put videos up there, you want to make sure and have text to go along with it. That's what that closed captioning is for. And the reason for that is sometimes people read the captioning going across and not seeing it. But the other reason is because it's a search engine. And if it has the words there, it can search them. And so you want to be the one in control of what those words are and not letting their native engine be interpreting what it is that you're saying. Same thing with tagging. You can tell them what that video is about so that it will improve their searching of when people are searching for your things. The other thing you want to do, you notice whenever you finish a YouTube video, it then gives suggestions about other videos to watch. Those videos are based on your searches. And so if you've done a good job of tagging, even if someone else is watching, they're watching an unrelated video, your video may show up there as this is something that you may be interested in. And so you want to do a good job of keeping clean those and using good hygiene, if you will, when putting those videos up there. But certainly make videos and put them up there because people like video, they don't like to read. LinkedIn is another area, again, because we're professionals, because we deal with other professionals, we want to have a presence. And people are checking us out on LinkedIn just like they are our website. So you want to have a logo, you want to be connected with other people that you are connected with, because, let's face it, we're in a profession that people still want to know something about us. We're still a person-to-person world, even though we have all this technology. And so what people are going to do, they're going to check you out, then they're going to see, oh, he's also connected with Joe Smith. I know Joe Smith. I'm going to call Joe Smith and see if Ronnie's okay. And so by having that there, we have alerted them that we have a connection with Joe Smith, so Joe Smith can say good things about us. So have a good LinkedIn profile. Looks professional because it's professionals that are looking at that. You do have the ability to put videos up there as well. You do have the ability to put posts up there as well and get endorsements from people. And so you want to be doing that. Finally, the Yelp that we talked about. Again, depending on your practice area, there are, in some practice areas, Yelp is huge. In other practice areas, almost non-existent, but you don't want to ignore it because they do such a great job. Google loves reviews. You know, Google, you got the Google Local where they have the ability to review you. That you saw on Victor and my profiles out there, they were already grabbing our Facebook reviews. Yelp is a review site, so Google likes to rank that highly. And so if you, especially if you're in a practice area where there's a lot of activity in that, you definitely want to pay attention. But even if you're not, you want to pay attention to make sure that you've got good information, accurate information on your Yelp profile as well.
So we want to give you a couple of examples of what I think, you know, decent pages look like. We're going to bring our own out of that. And so here is a snapshot of my Facebook business page. And you'll see highlighted on here, underscored by the arrows, each of the things that we've talked about we think is important. We took the banner page and showed you a picture of our team. We took our logo and made that available on the left-hand side. We saw that there was a link for each of the photos and videos. And by the way, that won't show up unless you populated it. So somebody clicking on that will have an opportunity to engage in that. And you've seen even stuff below there like posts and events, which we haven't gone into too much detail about that. But as you can see right at the top of the page is an opportunity to either book now, or if you don't have a booking link, it's going to say contact us. And what that will do is that will keep them inside of the Facebook program using their messenger program, and that will actually show up on your page. So if they click contact now, it's not going to open up a phone call. It's going to link to something inside of there. Whereas they put in book now, you can link that to outside service like Acuity or Calendly that you can use to book onto your appointment. We've gotten those there. And by the way, it also has really at the top of the page reviews. So 5 out of 5 people, it's a 5.0 because those are the number of people that have recommended us and the level that we recommend us. And that's something that they're putting very present right at the top of the page. Ronnie?
Oh, I thought you were going to cover this. So this is my LinkedIn profile. Same thing that Victor was talking about. So you got ability to put pictures on there. You can have a banner on there. You want the connections that I told you about. You know, you invite people to connect with you. Other people invite you to connect with them. You want to be active in doing that because again, we're a person-to-person profession, and we want people that have the ability to or the desire to find out something about you to be able to do it. On this page, you got the ability to put things about you, so a generalization about your law practice, and so that can be picked up and will be picked up by search engine optimization and such. So you want to have some robust text there as well. And so those are kind of some of the basic things that you can do and should do on a LinkedIn profile.
So for YouTube, you have the opportunity to then create a landing page. As Ronnie was talking about, it's going to give suggestions of things to watch after they've watched whatever they searched to arrive on there. In fact, you're going to give them an opportunity to go ahead and engage with a playlist. And so what I've done here is I've highlighted ways that you can enhance your YouTube presence. So if somebody lands on your page, I have both an estate planning practice and I do financial services or retirement planning for people. So you can see the logo for both of those companies as being the banner for my essentially producer's page on all of my video. We have inside of there not only the playlists and all of the different videos that we've uploaded, but you can also see the number of subscribers that we've got, and there's always a subscribe button. So if you'd like, we're not going to go into the detail of making great video or how to populate that. That's actually going to be something that we can cover in more advanced education on social media. But if you like an example of how to do that and how to do it relatively successfully, one of the things you can do is search for me on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. You'll receive all of the new videos. In fact, we have another one that's coming out tomorrow, and you'll get an opportunity to see what some of the production values are that are part of putting a good product out there based on the platform. There actually is some research behind why you produce one kind of thing for Facebook and something different for YouTube, even though they both may be looking at video. There's some thought behind that. I think this is you, Ronnie.
I'm still seeing your page, Victor.
Oh, it didn't come through?
No, is that Craig's page?
Yeah, that's the Yelp page.
Okay. All right, so this is a colleague of ours that has a page on Yelp. He's in the personal injury practice area, and so you can see he's claimed his profile on there, and you want to do that so that you can then make changes to it and such. There are reviews, again, PI being one of those that people will say things about you. Now, it's probably difficult. You have to be proactive to get good reviews on there, because Yelp is a place people are going to go when they're mad and they're going to give bad reviews. And so if you're proactive, then you can hopefully countermeasure those bad reviews with people that are pleased with your services and encourage them to make good reviews. You'll see on there a link to his website, 800 Gold Law, on this particular one here. You can request a consultation on there. So again, a link there. His phone number's on there. His current address is on there. And then again, the ability to have photos and videos on there. So just like when people are looking for a restaurant and they see pictures of people's food and see pictures of the restaurant and such, you have the ability to show the types of clients, the type of work that you do, people that are associated with your firm, so that you can become something other than just a name out there and perhaps a phone number. They can get to know you a little bit better, and you're more likely to rank more robustly on there because you have better content.
What's important about a page like Yelp is, we've highlighted some of the stuff that's on here that appears in a good example. And if you don't fill in that information, it simply won't appear. And so, one of the reasons why you're going to want to bring this on board is you want as much great information out there as possible. One of the wrinkles about the way Yelp works, unfortunately, is that it chooses which reviews it wants to put out there based on how relevant it thinks those reviews are. And by the way, between you and I think also based on a business model that will highlight more negative reviews so that you can buy the rights to take those negative reviews out. That's their business model. So one of the things you want to be able to do is first understand that not all of your best reviews are going to show up. And in fact, one of the things you want to have to do is control for having somebody that reviews a lot of different businesses be somebody that reviews yours as well, because it will be more likely that their review will remain. I have like 10 reviews on Yelp. It shows 2 of them. The bad one is my response to it, and one other that for no reason that I can justify is actually the one that's in there, because it seems like the other ones would just be the same. But anyway, there's 2 on there. I'm pretty sure it's because Yelp wants me to buy the rights to order which reviews and which ones it shows. So listen, Atticus spends a lot of time training you on how to develop referral relationships. Is one of the mechanisms to increase your business. And we could probably go into 2 other sessions on doing retail-based development of stuff. In fact, we're going to talk a little about whether or not to advertise. But I did want to spend some time talking about how to engage referral relationships and referral partners over social media. Understand that your referral partners are just like you. They carry all of your best and worst qualities when it comes to social media, meaning they're probably on there too much, and they're probably searching for some level of affirmation that they are the prettiest person at the dance. And so you want to give them that. And one of the first keys is to engage with what's going on. This is not a platform, or not a series of platforms, for you to shout out how awesome you are with no payment towards engaging on how awesome someone else is. We want to do well by helping other people do well. You get anything you want as long as you can help someone else get what they want. So look for opportunities to engage, and look for your referral partners to be the ones that are on social media. Basically engage with them. If they have a post on LinkedIn, comment on it. If you become friends with them on Facebook, engage with their pictures of their kids and their dog and everything else in there. They're on there for a reason. Give them the warm fuzzies for doing that. You also want an opportunity to pay everything that you have forward. And one of the ways that you can do that is by highlighting a referral partner on your page. So you have the opportunity to showcase someone or some business that's doing great things that otherwise is helping you do great things in your practice by having a platform for them and linking those 2 things together, having some way to do that. The next thing is to look for some way of giving something of value. So this can be hosting a webinar that's on their site for their clients, creating a white paper that's a lead generation piece that they can share, or that you can give as an opportunity for them to get something of value from it. So look for opportunities to pay it first and then get something back. And then finally, we're going to talk about being referable. And this is really about cultivating an image online that is exactly what you want it to be in real life. Part of the, I suppose, hesitancy with engaging with social media as a business platform, I think, has a lot to do with the idea that people are worried that they're keeping that private and they don't want that to enter their business world. Well, look, people are doing business with you because they know, like, and trust you. They are referring you because there's something about your law practice that they want someone else to benefit from. Be referable in your social media life as much as you are in everything else. My social media presences, everywhere they are pretty cultivated. You get an image that I want you to have. The stuff that I'm trying to keep private is between me and my folks at home. It's not on my Facebook page, and it's certainly not what I'm tweeting out off of that. I put big stakes into the ground that's going to drive people away. So not only is it about the positions you take, but the way that you present yourself. If you have a high value, high money kind of practice, you want that image everywhere you go, and keep that, maintain that as being referable from one location to the next.
So this last segment, we're going to talk a little bit about advertising on some of these social media platforms. Again, all of them are free to participate in, all of them are free to post in, but the way that they make their money is they also give you the opportunity to pay money, and a lot of people do because so many eyeballs are there. And a lot of the interesting things about advertising on these social media platforms is a lot of it's based on behavior. They're looking at how you behave, the things you're searching for, the places that you've been, other sites that you've been to, and then they target you based on those. And so you see now all these sites that you go to and have you acknowledge that they're placing cookies on your computer and such. That's a tracking device, so that they then know that you've been to this site, and other advertisers that can then buy the right to serve ads to you. That's how it is that when you go to, looking for something on Facebook and such, you wind up seeing ads that are somewhat related to places that you've been or things that you do. It's because they know an awful lot about you based on the behavior of where you're going. They're watching everything that you do online. And as an advertiser, take advantage of that. So some of the pros dealing with advertising on these sites. The first is, I've alluded to, you can be very, very targeted into who you're serving ads to. Unlike the world where we're advertising on a billboard that has 100,000 cars a day going by, 1% of those may be a potential prospect for your services, but you're paying for all 100,000 of them to see you. It can be a very, very expensive way of advertising, versus I'm going to advertise for people that are members of Alzheimer's groups, because the services I offer is elder planning for people that are needing that type of planning. And so now it's a very targeted ad for a very targeted type of person. There's no guarantee. I mean, maybe someone's just interested in that and a member of the group, but probably most people that are members of those type groups are there for a reason. I'm happy to pay money to target them for that. The other good thing about this type of advertising, you can track your metrics. You can see what's working, you can see what's not working, which means you can spend more money on what is working and stop spending money on what's not working. The worst thing in the world is to be in the dark advertising and not knowing, do you start something or stop something without any type of metrics. It's really hard to tell if that billboard on the side of the road is really producing anything, or if that traffic's coming from other places, especially if it's all going to the same phone number or website. But you know exactly on an ad that you've placed, you know exactly, did that person ultimately call? Did that person come in? Did that person become a client? Is that ad working for me or not? Or do I need to scrap that and put more money in something that is? The other reason you want to be there is it's where everyone else is. And those that aren't there are going to be there soon. These are fast growing platforms. Now, I personally am not a big consumer of social media. I do not like going to Facebook because I see it as a giant black hole. And so for years, I have basically kind of tried to ignore to some degree that platform. But what changed my mind was a graph that I saw showing the growth rate of those platforms. And Facebook makes an L curve over the last, several, 5 years or so, and growing. YouTube is making an L curve now, so it's on the way up and such. And so you can't ignore these things because everyone's there, and those that aren't are getting there. And there's going to be fewer and fewer opportunities elsewhere, like print media and like advertising on television and such, because again, those eyeballs are going to subscription services and going to YouTube and such. If you want to get your word out, you better be presenting it to places where they're actually looking. Other nice thing about this type platform is you can be very fast, very nimble. The problem with print advertising is you got to design the ad, you got to go through several revisions of it, then you have to get the blue lines and ultimately approve it, then it has to get printed, and then it has to be distributed out. And so you're looking at a lead time of 6 weeks, 8 weeks or more, versus something happened yesterday, I'm going to put an ad out, and boom, I'm serving to my perfect clients or perfect avatar ads that deal with that exact thing that happened yesterday. You can be very fast, very nimble with this type of advertising. You can try multiple campaigns at once. We call it split testing, where I do this, I'm looking for the same type of client, but I'm approaching it different ways. Ultimately, the market's going to tell you one of those ways is going to be a lot better than the other one. Once you know that, because you're tracking, you drop the one that doesn't work and double the amount of money you're spending on the one that does, or constantly tweak those ads so that you get even better and better and better. Digital gives you the ability to do that. Doing that with print and other forms is very, very expensive. And especially with these newcomer services, the ads are still relatively cheap. And so you from a cost per potential lead, a cost per eyeball, so to speak, you're not necessarily paying that much for some of those. And especially if your perfect client groups are on those platforms, it may be a golden opportunity right now. So there are, of course, cons to this type of advertising as well. The big platforms, the well-established platforms, are expensive, and they're getting more expensive. Now, part of the reason for that is because these other advertisers that used to make their money advertising in the newspaper and on the radio and on television ads where nobody's watching anymore, now we're saying, well, where the eyeballs are, we're going to spend money there too, and you're competing against them for money. And so recognize that those platforms are going to continue to become more expensive. The responses of people on these platforms can be very impulsive, and so you do have to recognize that and be prepared for that. I'll give you an example. We advertised a book on Facebook for our perfect clients, people in a demographic that is 65 and over, that's members of certain groups that ought to be perfect clients for us in an estate planning world, and we give them a free book. And we were having lots and lots of orders for those books, and we would send those books out to those individuals. We would then follow up and call them to say, hey, just making sure you got your book. And the answer a lot of times was, yeah, we got the book, but we have no idea why you sent it to us. We didn't order that book. Well, of course you ordered that book. How did I get your address and your name without it? It was too easy for them at 3 in the morning to click yes, send it to me, and it filled the stuff in automatically, and then they moved on and they forgot completely about it. You've got to recognize that, and recognize that a lot of those leads are going to be quick and impulsive and may not be as serious as someone that might have taken the time to pick up the phone and call, as opposed to click and then now they're off to the next cat video. The sales cycle in this type of arena is also longer than in other sales arenas, because again, you're catching someone that may be the perfect client, but they're not necessarily searching for you, especially like on Facebook. On Google, if you're paying for ads, you didn't get to them until they were searching for you. So they're probably a little more serious candidate than someone that is in your perfect avatar group, but they're just scrolling around, and you're just one of several things that they're flipping through on there. And so you got a good person, but they're not necessarily in the buying mood right now. You got to keep on them. And so that's why, again, it's important to grab that cookie, pixel them on Facebook, so that we can then continue on them, because if they're a perfect client, eventually they're going to become a very interested perfect client, and we want to be top of mind whenever they become very interested. There is a lot of noise on Facebook and these other arenas. You're competing against everyone else, and so recognize that it is going to be hard to stand out, and so you got to figure out what the strategy is for that. It's not effective with every demographic group, and so you've got to recognize that as well. Victor and I, again, have similar practice areas, but very different geographies. He's in the Northeast, I'm in the Deep South. And we ran essentially an identical campaign where he got results, I got results, he filled rooms, and I had people register and not show up. And so the same exact message to the same demographic gave a very different result as a result of that. And so recognize, you got to recognize that, and it takes testing, obviously. And in these, especially with Facebook, they are concerned about what happened in the 2016 election and other criticisms that they've had, and so they do have editorial control over what you're advertising. They do not want to be in the middle of being accused of taking advantage of people and selling them things they don't need and such. And so there is editorial control over the ads that you place. That will slow you down. You could get rejected, and if you're seen as abusive, your ad account may be pulled altogether. And so you do have to be very careful about that, aware of that, and recognize that in the process. If you're going to do ads, you need to decide, are you going to hire someone to do it for you, or are you going to do it yourself? The do-it-yourself route, some of the reasons for that is nobody understands your practice and your perfect client and what it is you do and how it is you solve uniquely. You solve their problem better than you. You're never going to be able to sufficiently convey that to someone that's a marketing person out there. They may try to understand that, but ultimately you're going to always know it internally better than they are. You're dealing day in and day out with your perfect client. They are telling you what it is they want to hear. And again, so you're in the best position from a standpoint of creating ads to speak to that individual. And that's ultimately what you want to do in this, is enter the conversation they're already having. And you can do that better than anyone else. Additionally, if you're doing it yourself, you are getting direct metrics by the minute, essentially, if you want to continue to watch it like that, about what's happening. And so you become very, very engrossed in, this is working, this is not, here's a nuance and such, more so than a person that you're just going to pay some money to, and you're one of the 100 accounts that they manage, and so, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that. So you are in the best position to do this. That being said, you got a day job, right? And so if this is an area that you're going to have to learn something about if you're going to decide to do it yourself, and mistakes can be very costly, because again, these advertisements cost money. And if you're not careful, if you don't put limits on the spending that you have, if you don't pay close attention to money that's going out, what your daily ad spend is going to be, the next time you look at that account, you may have spent several $1,000s that you didn't plan, expect, or get any return on, because you picked too broad a group, or bid too much, or what have you. So mistakes can be costly. Recognize that. You are a professional. You got an expertise in the law. Your time very well may be better spent doing what it is that you do and hiring a pro to do it, even though they're not going to be as nuanced and understanding exactly what it is that your client needs. Having someone that does it day in and day out, they're going to be a lot more efficient at it than you are. You're going to spend excess time, at least the first time, trying to figure out, how is it that I do this? How do I get this pixel code? Where is it that I go? I don't understand this. And so something that takes them 5 minutes may take you 2 hours to learn. And so you've got to be prepared for that if you're going to do that. Another problem with that is the cost associated with hiring that person outside, because they don't do it for free. So the companies make money selling you the ads. The pros that are putting the ads together are making money doing that as well. And so recognize that and be prepared to pay those costs if that's something that you're going to do. There are frequent changes to these platforms, and so you've got to recognize that. A person that does this day in and day out, they're used to it. I've learned how to do it this way, and then all of a sudden, oh no, this button's gone. They call this something different now. What do I do? And so again, you're now spending hours that you could be spending working on someone's brief and being paid for, now trying to figure out, okay, what's the latest rendition of Facebook's business page and such. You may not be personally comfortable with the technology, and if you're not, then you should probably stay out of this, because it's not very user friendly. I can tell you, getting in the back end of these platforms is very databasey and such. And so recognize that and recognize perhaps that limitation about yourself before you decide, are you going to dive into this or not. But certainly, if you like this kind of thing, if you're inclined of it, you are going to do a better job of setting up ads, because you know your client better than anyone else. And so don't hesitate to do that if you're willing to commit to doing it.
Ryan makes a good point. One of the things that Facebook loves to do is test multiple versions of its platform live out there. And so we were at the same training once, and we had two completely different business manager interfaces. As we were going through the training, they were serving that up. So really kind of understanding how they create their structure around refining is one of the things you got to consider. So we want to go through your biggest takeaways. We do have some questions that we want to be able to hit. I want to highlight for you a couple of things that we think are important. One of the things that we've done as the second download is we've given you a form called the My Social Media Scorecard. And it really is just a way for you to rank on a 1 to 10 scale. How are you doing overall? It covers a lot of the stuff that we've talked about here, but it also covers things that we haven't talked about in terms of making directed implementation initiatives on social media. Are you doing advertising? Are you doing webinars? Do you know video? All of those things Ryan and I really contemplate as being sort of next level, sort of 201 and 301 on social media education. And so you want to get an understanding of where you are right now and make what your next best actions are going to be. So download that form and do that. By the way, if you're interested in learning more about Atticus generally, we want to give you a couple of different things that you have available. There is a focus disc advantage. It's a practice assessment, the advisor growth analysis, 3 most important impactful actions, all components of a practice growth diagnostic that will let you know where your firm is. Just like the social media scorecard will give you a basis on where you can go, so can the practice growth diagnostic give you an idea about where your practice is and what direction it can take. Most people do this first before becoming Atticus clients. Again, something both Ronnie and I have done between 8 and 10 years running. If you're interested in doing that, it is a $295 investment. It includes each of the things that we've talked about, including the DISC assessment, which is a way of understanding how you want to communicate with the world. It's going to give you a lot of insight to what you're doing with your team, how they're communicating with you. They even give you some insight on how you want to communicate with your potential clients. And it also give you an opportunity to spend an hour with a very well experienced and trained diagnostic advisor that will talk about the results and bring you in that direction. It's either going to be Daniel or Denise, who are fantastic at understanding where law firms are and what's possible off of that. If you're interested in doing that, you can go to Atticus Advantage and click on the top button that says Get Started Here. It will bring you through a form that you can go and investigate the practice growth diagnostic. And take advantage of doing that with 2 weeks of attending this webinar, then Atticus is going to send you a free copy of their book, How Good Attorneys Become Great Rainmakers, which is part of their client development series. It is a book that's usually goes for about $50 off of that. And one other thing that we want to let you know, which is that Atticus has a 100% money-back guarantee. If you don't like the materials, concepts on any part of its programming, if you sign up for the diagnostic, didn't like that, want your money back, you sign up for a program and you say, no, this wasn't worth it. If you do it, double your revenue, say, I want my money back, they're going to give that back to you. They only want to be in a place where they are of incredible value. Both Ronnie and I believe that Atticus is a company with incredible integrity and great strategies to offer. It's one of the reasons why not only do we attend and pay money to become clients to learn from them, but offer this education back to other people, get an opportunity to meet with folks like you, to introduce them to what Atticus do. It's this kind of education that you would be exposed to. If you're interested in this, but you want to think about it, I want to give you your 90-day Think About It program. You might think about this as a 90-day weight loss Think About It program. Where are you going to be 90 days if you just think about it? Most people are exactly where you were before, so we're hoping that this gets you over the hump to kind of reach out and be able to take those next steps. We are going to offer some additional webinars coming up. So on June 17th at 2 p.m., this is part of their Atticus Advantage series, again, part of the free series, whether or not you are a client of Atticus. If you're interested in learning how to reopen your practice after a shelter in place or a stay-at-home quarantine, we're going to go through an education on that. And if you'd like more information, including they have shorter videos called Busy Lawyer Briefs, all available on their YouTube channel. So you can go to their YouTube channel and go ahead and click the subscribe button, and they'll notify you about all the new stuff that's in there. Atticus is also available on social media. What would they be if not in integrity with what the education we're sharing with you? So they've got a Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube page. So let's pause here and talk about any other questions that you might have. Mike, let us know about the questions that have come in, but if you're interested in asking a question, we'll stick around for a little bit longer. I know that this is generally scheduled for an hour. and right about there. But we do want to answer those questions. I don't have anywhere to go to 4:15 if people want to stay. But if you have a question, go to the chat function and enter your question, and Mike will read it in order. So what do we got, Mike? Do we have any questions, or are we going to unmute anybody?
We've got several questions. The first one is, how do you get the various social media channel icons to show up in your Google business listing, in particularly Avo? We have Twitter, Facebook, but the Avo icon is not showing up. I don't think Google offers that as something you can put into your Google business listing.
So there's two things on that, and Ronnie may want to offer it. One of them is they're looking for links. So you have to create the social media platform and basically link them back in. They've got slots for this stuff to link them in together. But they're also looking for information to match up. They're a search engine that allows them to go find information. So if your directory information matches across the board, then guess what? They're going to think that you're the same company and import the information that you're looking for. If they don't match up, they're not going to think that you're the same company, and they're not going to link them together.
Yeah, I noticed on the design one, I don't have an Avo. We both had Facebook. You had Avo. I didn't. So I've got to look to see what's not matching.
All right, our next question, there are a few people who have asked this a few different ways. So as someone who's not too interested in engaging with social media, how might I hire somebody who specializes in this? Do you have to have any experience in bringing in a freelancer to do this kind of work? Should I look at Upwork? Other suggestions?
Yeah, I think we both have experience. I'll share mine, and I'll let Ronnie share his. So we did bring in a social media person to basically manage our page, do posting, and they were there to do it. We took it back, but for a period of time, we had that out there. It was somebody that was basically there to scrape information. And the idea behind that, scrape information like a blog post or post on a regular basis, is you want to give them a calendar of publication and a series of resources and content of what you have. So they're not going to create the content in the way that you want. I would definitely not hand over sort of the ethical component of the creation of the content. You want your message to be your own, but managing the publication of this on the various outlets is probably something that you can hire away with a virtual marketing assistant or somebody that specializes in this. We want to separate out two activities though. We want to separate out the activity of engaging in the behavior, which you can pay someone as a laborer to do, versus engaging them as a vendor to provide advertising. They're not the same activity. And so somebody that's going to go in there and be your social media manager, you don't want them to have the follow-on sale, unless it's really what you want, to be the person managing your ad campaign, because it's a different skill set and they're not necessarily all done best under one roof. What was your experience, Ronnie, with your social media manager?
So I've similar experience. I've tried outside vendors for this and left them, and tried new ones and left them, and tried new ones and left them, and such. Ultimately, the dissatisfaction that I've always had is, again, none of them know my business the way that I do, and so regardless of how I explain it or anything else, the things they came up with is like, that's not me. It's not my business. It's not my perfect avatar. And then when we look at return on investment that we're able to track and such, it's like, it's not there. This doesn't make any sense. And so you absolutely, I'm not saying that there aren't some good vendors out there, but you absolutely have to hold them to the fire. I would have weekly meetings with them, weekly reviews of what's happening, and make sure that you are getting an ROI, or cut them off fast because they're not getting it, or you're not conveying it to them, or what have you. The best, again, luck that we've had, or best success we've had, is bringing it internally with someone that I then have, again, a weekly meeting with, and then periodically, they pick up the phone and call if they need something, with a calendar of, this is what you're posting when, so that we know. So there's a constant, constant posting out there, because we ultimately want a constant presence to be top of mind. But we've had much better success at that than we have hiring it out.
And that's what we've done too, Ronnie. We've got a marketing assistant, and we've created something called the Content Diamond, which for us is a way of repurposing content that we've created. And she's got a schedule of when she publishes things, what platform, and how she aggregates it all. So there's a strategy around that, but we both landed on keeping that in-house, either at a part-time level or full-time level, depending on what you have on staff.
All right, our next question is, After you've created and updated just your social media platforms, how do you build clients and keep them interested in following you there?
You've got a couple of different things that you can do, and then I'll let Ronnie answer his strategy as well. So, obviously you want to advertise that you're there as often as you can, meaning if you have an email newsletter, including the links. If you've got it in your signature for your general email, including the links, and asking them to be involved. One of the things you're able to do is make a directed ask to have somebody like your page. We don't really suffer from some of the restrictions in other industries about people endorsing us. So testimonials are something that are available for lawyers, other than guarantee of results, that are not available in other industries. So we can build a content that way. However, there are also additional layers to what you can do. And this is a little bit beyond the scope of what we have. But one of the things that you're able to do is upload a list of your clients with their names and their email addresses. And if it happens to be that Facebook knows that email address, either because they used that email address to create their Facebook account, or Facebook, in its world of aggregating big data, has associated the email address with that person, it will then create an audience of those clients that you can then advertise to. You're going to have to pay to get eyeballs to be on it, but you can pay very little amount of money to do that, and essentially advertise to them the opportunity to like your page, and then they'll be able to follow. You can advertise to them your content and what it is that you want to see in front of them. There's another layer to this, and the other layer to that is that by uploading a list of your clients and their names, not only will you get in front of your clients, but Facebook, in its ultimate algorithm developing brilliance, will be able to create a lookalike audience that then can be advertised to brand new people that look just like the people that are already your clients, that you can send advertising to, because they've used their algorithm to say, you know what? We kind of know what these people look like, because we have access to hundreds of millions of people to figure out what these people look like. So have you had other strategies, Ronnie, on getting people to get engaged with you online?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the first place is like you said, to ask directly with your clients through newsletters, through, you're sending them a digital newsletter anyway, have a big button there to click the link to subscribe and such as that, so you can become friends with them and things like that. Custom audience works great. Lookalike audience works great. And again, a much deeper level than that, probably the 301 course, would be the Facebook Pixel, which is a cookie that you put on your site where people that visit certain pages and behave certain ways, you then put them in a separate list of, you're going to make an ask of them for whatever it is, whether it's to sell them a course or whether to ask them to subscribe or what have you, but you're able to customize that based on their behavior. Again, this is all digital. Everything you do online, someone's watching. Use it to your advantage, because that's why those tools are there. And so you can keep in touch with those people that behaved a certain way, hoping that then you'll get them to behave the way that you want them to at the time that they're ready to take action. In the Facebook Pixel or in other advertising, you do the same thing on Google with their cookie. It's just some code that goes on your website. But that's another way of approaching that same thing. And you can create a lookalike audience of those people. So those people behave that way.
I was going to say the Pixel is not. Yeah.
Other people like them are going to behave that way
as well. So you
create that lookalike audience.
Pixel's not just advertised to the people, but to create an audience of people that look like the people that have already been on there.
Yeah.
Good, Mike. How are we doing? Other questions?
We have several questions that are related to this. In particular, some people are asking about uploading email addresses to Facebook, wondering if that violates any bar rules and confidentiality, and how they do that. I know that that's in the advertising section of Facebook Business Manager, but how can you respond to the question about how they upload these emails without violating confidence?
You want to start, Ronnie?
I've never thought about that, Victor. I mean, you're not making them public. So all you're doing is telling Facebook, this person here is, you're not telling them necessarily that they're a client. You're saying, I want to either push information to this person, or find someone that's like them. So I don't know that it violates confidentiality, because nobody's really seeing that that information? But that's an interesting that is an interesting question. You may have a better answer than I do, Victor.
Well, we've handled it two different ways. I mean, I think there's a distinction between people who may have originally given you their information prior to becoming clients that you can then repurpose for whatever thing that you want without having violated client confidentiality. You don't say, hey, you certainly wouldn't want to create an advertisement and say, hey, you were a client of mine. I'm letting Facebook know about it. And by the way, here's an advertisement for you, dear client of mine, right? So that there's the distinction between people that gave you their information. But I certainly think that you can have someone make a waiver of any client confidentiality inside of your retainer agreement. And that's something that we do have, which is something in our retainer agreement includes the ability to contact them using their electronic email address. I think we covered some electronic mechanism communication. We try to make it all inclusive, so it wasn't just email, but it could have been any social media platform. But the idea of saying, we're going to use this for other purposes. This is our privacy notice. Just want to make sure that you're okay with it. And of course, if somebody opts out of that, you never want to talk to them that way again. You're not going to violate that component of it. But we've really never found that to be a violation, because we've never said to Facebook, for instance, this is our client list. We've simply said this is a list of names and email addresses, that we would like to do something with. So that's how I would approach it. And certainly if people feel uncomfortable with uploading client names, then the way to solve that is to use a little bit more labor. And at the conclusion of your engagement, make a directed ask in person. There's nothing wrong with you creating a station at your office or having a Zoom meeting with somebody. Say, hey, do you mind spending about 15 minutes with us? We're going to go on to 4 different social media websites, and I just wanted to walk you through becoming a fan of ours on each of those websites. Would you do that with me? Most clients will be comfortable to do that. So you might not do it en masse or automated with digital uploads, but you can certainly do it one-on-one if you're uncomfortable with that approach.
We have a few more questions, guys. Do you have another minute or so, or should we call it at this time?
Absolutely. Nope, let's go through a couple more. Go for it.
Okay. All right. Let me pick on this one here. My experience with Avo and some other paid platforms was that I could be listed with other attorneys in my same geographic area and my friendly competitors. How do I get exclusive space? Simply pay more money on Google to appear higher.
Yes, that's how you do it. Okay. There is no right for you to be the person that comes up with the results. Let me clue you in on a couple of things. People are paying to show up when they Google your name. Let that sink in. They're Googling your firm's name and they're paying to show up when they're searching for you. All's fair in love and war, and that's what's going on. So you want to bid on Google on your own name. So at least you show up there as frequently as somebody else does. So there's really a pay-to-play system for all of these services. It is incongruous for you to believe that because you participate in a free service, that you get access to all of the benefits of that free service. And so I'll clue you in on another little detail about Facebook. Because you post something on your page does not mean that it appears to everyone who is a fan of your page. Most research suggests that it only appears to about 30% of the people who are fans of yours. If you would like it to appear to all 100%, Facebook would like some money. And for that money, it will display it. And so there is definitely a preference given to those with deeper wallets, because they're in the business of selling advertising to people who want to advertise to a significant profit. Now, that advertising has to return something, or else no one else will buy it. And in Avo's case, what they've been able to do is sell exclusives. You can buy the right for no one to ever appear on your profile. You can buy the rights to appear on everyone else's profile and be a featured provider. You've got to track your ROI on that to make sure that it's an investment that you would like to make. Here's my particular approach, and then we'll let Ronnie share his. I think that I compare favorably with anyone else that happens to appear. I'm prettier than they are, all sarcasm meant aside, right? My website shows up better. My credentials show up better. So my approach is bring it. I'd love for somebody else to be on mine, because when they compare that, they see my testimonials, my reviews, they're going to end up coming this way. I don't feel like throwing any dollars there. But I will throw dollars at eyeballs that I want to see, like people that are making directed searches at my competitors. If you'd like to go search for your competitor, I'd like you to come and see me first, or see me somewhere in there, because I think I will compare favorably off of that. So that's my personal approach to it. What do you do, Ronnie?
So I've done the opposite. On Avo, I have paid for the premium, so I'm showing up on other people's pages whenever they're finding those individuals. I'm like you. I don't care if someone else is on my page, because I think I appear favorably there. But I do spend some money with Avo because we've got enough searches there. We get enough calls coming directly through that. I think the ROI is there. So a little different approach, but again, it's all money. So as long as you're getting a return, it's money well spent. And if you're not, stop it.
Okay. Our next question,
one more, Mike, before we wrap it up.
Our next question is, who should you connect with on LinkedIn? I've been told different things. Everyone versus just people you know.
I connect with everyone. If someone wants to connect with me, I just click yes. So I can't say that that's been a predetermined strategy. I mean, obviously, anybody that comes in to become a client, we look them up on LinkedIn. We send them an invitation there. Anyone I come in contact with socially or professionally, we will send out an invitation to them because, again, we're trying to build network, build a top of mind. But I don't look at some a request coming in and saying, well, I'd like to be associated with this person or not. Perhaps that may come back to bite me if they turn out to be in a unfavorable group, but I've not really given a huge amount of thought there. Victor, you may have given a lot more thought to that than I have.
No, the only thing that I changed from you is I don't accept requests from people who are vendors to lawyers and financial services people, because they arrive all the time and I find that obnoxious. But it doesn't matter the level of relationship that I have with someone that's a referral partner or a client, or I don't do that with a prospect. That's creepy. But anyone who's a client or a referral person, if I've met them and they're a new referral source, potentially, even if they haven't developed, I'll reach out to them. It's almost the accepted practice that as soon as you've met somebody, you look at their LinkedIn profile and you send a request to associate with them. The idea there is that we talked about nascent platforms being inexpensive. LinkedIn is among those. So Facebook is quickly becoming more expensive. And by the way, if you don't think it's expensive now, wait until it gets to, I don't know, October and November with some big US event that's going to be asking for a lot of eyeballs and a lot of money going into that. So to the extent that you're looking for a platform to tip your toes into for paid advertising, LinkedIn is a great way to look at that. For pennies, you can appear in people's LinkedIn profiles with either sponsored content or specific things that you're trying to do. That's probably the least expensive, most effective platform currently. In other words, it is where the professionals are doing things around business that are what you're thinking about doing, and the cost to get in is super, super low right now. So we have built out more of our attorney referral partners using LinkedIn, because it's pennies to get in front of them with something like a CLE event that we'd like to advertise to have them come, because we're a CLE provider for other lawyers. So think about LinkedIn as being a good way of not only expanding your database, but expanding a paid opportunity to be with that.
I would just
one
add,
other thing real quick, which is,
I would just add that,
please.
Victor, as a legal marketer myself, I get hit up in my inbox a lot by other marketing agencies trying to connect with me because they want to sell me leads. So, you can spot those red flags a mile away. But if it's somebody that I know, obviously I'm going to accept it if I've met them at a conference, or if I see that we have good connections in common and it makes sense to connect, I sure do. And if later I determine I don't want to be connected anymore, it's really easy to unconnect. We do have more questions. We are out of time at this point, folks. I'm going to send these questions on to Victor and Ronnie, and I'll get back to you with their responses on those from our grow@atticusadvantage.com email address. Or you can also send in any questions to grow@atticusadvantage.com if anything occurs to you later, and we will try to help you with that. Thank you, Victor, and thank you, Ronnie, so much for today's session. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thanks for the opportunity, Ronnie. It was great presenting you with again. Great job.
Same here. Thank you. Opportunity.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.